Today's craft is making a ribbon bookmark, and it's a really simple craft. It's a lovely one that you can personalise in lots of different ways, and it just involves, say, three items: the button, the ribbon and a hairband, and then so you just wrap it around the pages and it'll expand as obviously you go through further into the book. And so that's one that was made by member staff, because we've used this project with our teenage craft group, and that's a little one I did the other day. So we've just got initials on these ones, and I'm going to show you how simple it is to make one. So all you'll need is ribbon. I'd recommend sort of 2 to 4 centimetre width ribbon, ideally two-sided. Satin is probably best. This actually is one-sided. It was left over from a project, but it's actually quite thin feeling. So if you've got decent quality ribbon, I love ribbon, so I've always got it in lots of different colours. That's best. And today I'm actually going to show you on a really wide piece of ribbon, because you can use wide ribbon as well if you really want to. There's no problem with that, just because I thought it would show up a bit better on here. And then hairbands, just the cheap hairbands you can get really cheap. I think these were from a pound shop that we got a little packet of these. So any of those lying around, or we want to buy those from somewhere. And then a button, and a bigger button is best, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any sort of standard buttons there. This little one's quite nice, this little flower shape. But any buttons that you've got that you think might be useful, you're just going to loop that around. And then some thread. So say sewing thread, or if you want to, you can use embroidery thread, whichever's easiest. So that, and it's really that simple. So what you need to do to begin with is measure an average hardback book, and then you need to take off about 2.5 centimetres and cut the ribbon that length. Obviously, if you're more someone who reads paperbacks, then do the same thing, just measure your average paperback and take off just a couple of centimetres there. And what you're going to do is fold over one of the ends. And I've done not very particularly neat sewing here because I was doing this quite quick. I would usually recommend as well you have the thread in the same colour as your ribbon, ideally, when you're folding over. But you fold over twice, just to make sure the ends are really neat inside, and then just sew along. Doesn't matter what stitch you use, just to make the end a bit neater. Then this is the end that we're going to sew the button on. So don't have it right towards the end. You want to have it a little bit further in so that it's got a bit, because it's going to have to take the pressure of being pulled. So make sure it's not exactly on the end. And this is where you need to make sure that you do actually sew this quite securely. So make sure that is really nice and tight. Alright, so you've got the button sewed on there nice and securely. So then we work at the other end. There we are, so it's very messy here, and what we're going to do is make sure that the hairband is actually captured underneath it. Okay, so you just fold that over, and so I usually fold over twice because it just makes it a little bit neater, it gives it a bit firmer to hold. So just capture that inside there, and then again you're just going to sew that one all the way through. Again, make sure it's nice and secure, because again, this is going to take some of the pulls, it's going to get stretched. You could do a nice zigzag stitch if you fancy that. Just go up and down a couple of times. And you just work your way along the length of the ribbon. So once you've sewn that, and probably a lot neater than I've done, so this is the stretch bit here. And so you just take your book and you'd thread this through, obviously whatever page you've got to with reading, and so this is probably designed more for a hardback book, but you get the idea that it would just stretch there, and you've got lots of room there as well as you work your way through the book for it to expand. So pull there. So this is also an ideal space, either one end or the other, to actually personalise it if you want to. So for instance, on Julie's one here, she's actually just done like this very simple chain stitch with her initials. So you can always draw that on first and do that. These are make ideal gifts. Obviously Mother's Day is coming up in March. That might be something you might like to make your mum and personalise with her initials, or it could be a flower. Maybe she loves being in the garden. You could actually very simply just draw a flower and then chain stitch around that one. You might have some stickers or something you could stick on there if you want to. Make sure they're stuck well and truly, but you could do that. The other option to personalise, of course, the buttons. So again, if I was making one of these for my dad, he was very proud of his naval career, so I would have chosen maybe something with an anchor or one of his naval buttons that he had left over from service, and I would probably have used one of those. So you can personalise it with colours, the buttons, or say adding some embroidery on, depending on your skill level, and suit it for the person that you hope to gift it to. And it's a lovely little gift there, and really shows that you've been thinking of them, and ideal for someone who loves their books. So a ribbon bookmark. If you have a go, do let us know and see what you've made. We'd love to see the results.